Don in London, hello. It's December 1st, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. Addiction, whatever it is, substance. Mine was alcohol, could have been anything. My behaviour, complementary to my addiction. Workaholic, relationshipaholic, you name it, any sort of ism. And these days I'm living one day at a time in sobriety. And what helps me keep in sobriety? Family, friends, professionals, and a fellowship, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for AA, it's full of unique, authentic people who can speak for themselves where they choose. And I choose to share my experience, strength and hope here of how the fellowship helps me keep sober. So, what of December? Well, 12 months in a year, and there are 12 action steps for individuals to stay sober in the AA program. It's part of the toolkit. And in the toolkit there are meetings of the fellowship daily, all over the place, 700 here in London. And at the beginning of each meeting there's an AA preamble shared, and it goes like this. It's a statement of intent. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And when it's about helping others to achieve sobriety, it's how to be our unique, authentic selves, to make our life choices based on the best information we have in front of us for the day. Just for a day, that's all it is. And obviously those days get into weeks, months and years, depending on how things go. But you know, life can upset us, and sometimes we relapse or slip, and that can happen to anybody if we're not maintaining our overall sober condition. So how do we do that, those 12 steps? Well, there are 12 steps, 12 months, and I usually use this book, Daily Reflections, because each step is covered, one a month. And step 12 is quite a big one. It's all about sharing the message and not being a two-stepper, which is knowing the first step, which is powerless over alcohol and life being unmanageable when we drink, and forgetting the other ones in between and going straight to the 12th step, where we feel that we're able to just share a message of experience, strength and hope without doing the other bits. But if we forget the other 10 steps of the 12-step program, or don't apply ourselves to them, we can find ourselves in disarray and back in a muddle in no time. So I'm going to share from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions this morning, this book, and it has a summary of the 12th step, which is long enough in itself, but and then I want to share a passage from the 12th step, because it really does sort of help sort out what are these 12 steps. So in the 12 by 12, the summary of the 12th step goes like this. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And it goes on to say, and they're just short sentences, joy of living is the theme of the 12th step. Action is the key word. Giving that asks no reward. Love that has no price tag. What is spiritual awakening? A new state of consciousness and being is received as a free gift. Readiness to receive gift lies in practice of the 12 steps, the magnificent reality. Rewards of helping other alcoholics. Kinds of 12-step work, problems of 12-step work. What about the practice of all these principles in all our affairs? Monotony, pain, calamity turn to good use by practice of the steps. Difficulties of practice. Two-stepping, switch to 12-stepping, and demonstrations of faith. Growing spirituality is the answer to our problems. Placing spiritual growth first. Domination and over-dependence. Putting our lives on a give-and-take basis, depending upon God or good conscience. Necessary to recovery of alcoholics. Practicing these principles in all our affairs. Domestic relations in AA. Outlook upon material matters changes, so do feelings about personal importance. Instincts restored to the true purpose, that's right sizing. Understanding is key to right attitudes, right action key to good living. And my word, what an order to try and do all those things. And the gift is we don't have to try and do it all at once. But in the 12 by 12, this book, on page 110, it gives a summary of the 12 steps, which I always love to have a good look at again, because it's the best summary of the 12 steps I've ever found. And it goes like this. AA's manner of making ready to receive this gift lies in the practice of the 12 steps in our programme. So let's consider briefly what we have been trying to do up to this point. Step 1 showed us an amazing paradox. We found that we were totally unable to be rid of the alcohol obsession until we first admitted that we were powerless over it. In step 2 we saw that since we could not restore ourselves to sanity, some higher power must necessarily do so if we were to survive. Consequently, in step 3 we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God, or for some good conscience, as we understood him, and it's your own understanding, not mine. For the time being, we who were atheist or agnostic discovered that our own group or AA as a whole, would suffice as a higher power. Beginning with step 4, we commenced to search out the things in ourselves which had brought us to physical, moral and spiritual bankruptcy. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory. Looking at step 5, we decided that an inventory taken alone wouldn't be enough. We knew we had to quit the deadly business of living alone with our conflicts, and in honesty confide these to God, or good conscience, and another human being. At step 6, many of us balked, for the practical reason that we did not wish to have all our defects of character removed, because we still loved some of them too much. Yet we knew we had to make a settlement with the fundamental principle of step 6, which is to remove our defects of character. They won't go completely, I assure you. So we decided that while we still had some flaws of character that we could not yet relinquish, we ought nevertheless to quit our stubborn, rebellious hanging on to them. We said to ourselves, this I cannot do today, perhaps, but I can stop crying out, no, never. Then in step 7 we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings, such as he could or would under the conditions of the day we asked. In step 8 we continued our house cleaning, for we saw that we were not only in conflict with ourselves, but also with people and situations in the world in which we lived. We had to begin our piece, and so we listed the people we had harmed and became willing to set things right. We followed this up in step 9 by making direct amends to those concerned, except when it would injure them or other people. By this time at step 10 we had begun to get a basis for daily living, and we keenly realised that we would need to continue taking personal inventory, and that when we were in the wrong we ought to admit it promptly. In step 11 we saw that if a higher power had restored us to sanity and had enabled us to live with some peace of mind in a sorely troubled world, then such a higher power was worth knowing better by as direct contact as possible. The persistent use of meditation and prayer, we found, did open the channel, so that where there had been a trickle, there now was a river which led to sure power and safe guidance from God, as we were increasingly better able to understand him. So practicing these principles we had a spiritual awakening about which finally there was no question. Looking at those who were only beginning and still doubted themselves, the rest of us were able to see the change setting in. From great number of such experiences we would predict that the doubter who still claimed he hadn't got the spiritual angle, and who still considered his well-loved AA group the higher power, would presently love God and call him by name. And whether you believe in God or not is not the issue here. It's about how these steps work as principles. And thank goodness I actually found an understanding which I could make sense of, so that these 12 steps all work in a day for me. So step 12 is a big one. It's all about how to make it work in reality, live it. So I always start with the serenity prayer to God or good conscience, and it's the God of your understanding and how your good conscience works, and that acceptance of how things are today. So the serenity prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, it's always just for a day.